Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the Object 261. It's the Tier 10 Soviet SPG. This one's located on the east spawn of Malinovka, and it's under the command of apgibbo of the FILO clan.
Time to roll out.
Game on. Well, Tier 10 game with Tier 9 tanks in it, so this should be a bit of fun. This is the Arty that was going to be made from the IS-7 hull, but I'm afraid they never got around to building the IS-7 because Stalin didn't want any more heavy tanks after the war was ended. He was already building a number of IS-3s, and even though they did have better tanks available, or better designs, I think it was cheaper to actually build the IS-3 rather than it was the IS-7. First shot goes for the bush, which is something I do a lot, and you'd be surprised at the number of times that I fire a shell into that bush and wipe out the enemy light tank right at the start of the game, who thought it was a clever idea to go into the bush and spot for his team. Usually it's the Type 64 or an ELC M19, something like that, and they're normally, if they're struck, they're wiped out completely. So it's always a good thing to send the first shell directly into that bush and ruin anyone's day if they happen to be inside it. Okay, we're now looking up the hill to an E77, rounds out. Landed right in front of him. Now I think he's going to leave that tree in the bent down position as a kind of dummy, encouraging the enemy to fire at it, although he is still a little close to it. Okay, we've got an E50 or E50, depending on your point of view. It's a difficult position to hit, but I have hit enemy tanks that have been in that position before, usually by firing through the little gap between the two rocks there. There it is. There's the gap, but unfortunately he's not showing in the gap, so I'm not sure he can get a shot up there, but we can definitely get a shot on this AMX 50B rather, who thought it was a good idea to go up to the corner. It's not normally, because you do get spotted, you've got no cover, and I'm afraid that one hit the windmill. Now this Arty can do 50 kilometers an hour, but the best thing about it is, of course, that 18 centimeter howitzer capable of doing 800 alpha. The reload speed is normally 30.68 seconds, and we can see here the reload for Gibbo is 24.61 or 24.1, sorry. Okay, 60 TP coming up to the junction. Unfortunately, we've still got some guys up there, so they are under threat from that 60 TP, and of course he's got the big 152mm gun, and this guy here, well, he's probably got the 15 centimeter. Yes, Panzerkampfwagen 7, fairly difficult to take out unless of course you can aim for that weak spot. Yeah, we've got a lot of guys up the hill, and their guys have pushed over on the first level. Okay, we're loaded. That's it, the reticule's round. We're going to hit the 60 TP, I think. Or try and hit them when they're both together. Well, he did, and he got damage off both. In fact, I think the 60 TP was tracked, and since he'd used this repair kit, he couldn't then use it again. Now we've got the concentration skill working at the moment. We just need that communications expert to give another 2.5%. Of course, concentration works if you're firing from a stationary hull, and that was very, very close. It could have actually impacted off the top of the 60 TP. It looked like there was a mark there. Now the 705's come down to do a bit of damage to that 7. 7. Go for the E50 again. Rounds up. Direct hit! Oh, knocked down the tree as well. That was right on the money. And they are pushing the enemy guys back, so it looks like they managed to succeed. I thought for a while that our guys were actually going to be fairly isolated. We do have an enemy tank down in this area, although we can't see him at the moment. And since the Object 261 only has a limited number of shells, limited to 20, you need to be careful that you don't fire too many blind shots and miss out on damage later on. There's that E from Seek. Can't see the impact point for that shell. It's not showing. Well, that stunned him, and that came in from the other Arty, which in this game is an M53, M55. There he is again. You can fire through that gap, you see. Done it myself, and it's big enough to actually let a shell through. Okay, almost there. Rounds out. Oh, missed the chance. But it looks like we did get some damage at only 63 hit points. But of course, we don't know what that blind shell actually did. Okay, so we're 4 up on the enemy. We're over their side of the battlefield. The only one that's managed to make it over to this side of the battlefield appears to be their Badger. No targets in sight other than the CS-59. And he's decided it's too hot. And we have got the communications expert working now. Well, that was fairly close. MX-50B's in dire trouble. Yep. When you've got such a small amount of hit points available, you don't show your rear to the enemy because the enemy will put a shell straight through it. Okay. Now we've got the flat tank here, or rather the IKEA type tank in German design. Kampfpanzer III. He didn't last very long. He was actually taken out by our Hori 1, who was up on the spotting bush on F7. Still can't see the Badger, but I think he's the other side of the house, and that's why he's not showing up at all. Type 4 Heavy. He's AFK, he's in the cap, so we might as well just land a few shells on top of him and keep him stunned, and our teammates will do the rest for us. 839. Oh my god, lots of stun assist here. That was very satisfying. Stun assist, 2.7k already. We're 3 up on the enemy, and they found the Badger at last. We're looking for the enemy Arty. There's 2 of them. You can see a few trees down, but we can't see any of the Arty yet. No tracer. Badger's been taken out. The Hori 1 got him. In fact, the Hori 1 came across from the lake and took him out at fairly, well, not close range, but near. And we've just seen the enemy Arties now aiming for the Hori 1. So we should see the tracer for the enemy Arty very shortly. Oh, he's firing at the corner. I guess the reason I'm concerned at the moment is that they've neglected the woods. I think there's a lot of enemy, a lot of enemy. I think there's only 5 enemy left, including 2 Arty. And yes, I think there is somebody in A2 at this moment. And I just heard the whistle of an artillery shell. So I'm pretty sure that there is an Arty in this wood area. Of course, the way to locate them is to actually take out press the V key to take away all stimulus, and when he's fired 1 in, take out all visual add extras, and then the tracer stands out really strong when they fire. It's just a matter then of working out which bush or which tree he's behind, and there you go. He's actually just revealed his position to us. Okay, we've got the CS-59 to go for instead. Oh, he's gone. Now, do you remember where it was? It's a little further over and a bit further up. Not there. No, a bit further and upwards now. Go directly up. No, he's missed it there. Going for the griller instead. Okay, rounds out. Well, he got some stun, and we'll get some stun assist, I suspect. Well, the enemy Arty is certainly firing. They've got a batch at 155.55 and a T92 HMC, and the T92 has just been spotted on the other side of the inlet, so the one on this side must be the batch at. We fired anticipating the driller pulling forward and got some splash instead. He's fairly close to the enemy Arty, who's actually nearby. We're not seeing his tracer at the moment. I guess he might not be firing. There he is. Yep, just as I predicted, he was in that bush a little bit further up. Oh, well, that's the end of the game, and it's a victory. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was a first-class tank for apgibbo of FILO in the Object 261. He managed to get a Bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he got 11. And he got a Confederate as well for hitting more of the enemy than anyone else on his team. He didn't get a single kill, but that meant every tank that he fired at added to the Confederate total. His win rate from that game, 1,810, which is very good. So let's have a look at team score. Didn't get the highest damage. That went to an IS-7 on his own team, 4,002 hit points, but he didn't get enough to get 20% of the enemy hit pool. Second highest damage actually went to the ST2 with 3,606, and third highest went to the Siebensieg with 3,471. We can see here that apgibbo got 2,308, and well, that was beaten by 4 members of the enemy team, and he was beaten by 6 members of his own team, which puts him in 11th place when it comes to damage. When it came to kills, though, the big scorer was the IS-7, the Object 705, and the Hori 1. They all got 3 kills apiece. 2 kills went to the Sharp Future 4 and the T92 on the enemy team. And yes, apgibbo didn't get any kills at all. But when it came to base XP, you can see it's much higher up the table, with the top scorers being the E75, the Object 705, and the IS-7. And they were the only ones who managed to make it over 1,000 base. And you can see apgibbo got 4th place with 929, which is still very creditable. He fired 16 rounds, so he still had 4 rounds left at the end of the game. 5 direct hits on the enemy, none of them penetrated, but he did get 14 splash. Damage of 2,308, all of it at more than 300 meters. Damage 7, but didn't get any kills, and got 3,764 hit points of stun assist or 14 stuns. So he definitely selected the right tanks to hit and stun whilst his teammates were looking at them. On a free-to-play account, he actually made a profit of 7,022 credits. He got 5 bonds for this being tier 10, and he also picked up 1,858 experience points out of the game as well. So a very good game in a 261, shows that you can just bash these out one after the other, and you'll have 3 marks before you even know it. It is a fun RT to play. It's also very accurate, and with the new crew skills that come in, it also can be incredibly fun to play in terms of racking up the damage, because of course the new skills can almost mean that your rescue is fully dialed in virtually all the time, even though this Arty has a very narrow arc of fire, only 10 degrees, so the slightest movement and you lose the concentration skill until of course you're stationary again, and then it starts working. But yes, it's a decent Arty to play. I just wish they could have more shells, actually, because 20 is not enough. And many a game, you'll actually end up in the last couple of minutes with no shells to fire. And of course, the only thing you can do then is try and cap for your team, or at least try and spot the enemy and get them to fire at you so they can reveal their positions. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. and thank you for watching.